Hey! Hi!
Hey
I think we're
everyone.
live now.
We are. Oh, well, hi everyone. It's been a while.
Can't hear.
Hello, Naida.
Hi.
Hello, Beth. Welcome everyone to Time for Life. Woohoo! Are you hearing me okay?
I am. I
So
can hear.
Beth
What? No, no.
was just telling us that she might have some difficulty with her internet. Um, So
You guys,
she's getting a cable, right, tonight. So hopefully that'll solve the problem. Welcome, Naida.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm okay. I'm glad that I'm
I'm
doing
back.
something fun for a change. So I am okay. So just to explain to everyone, I am all decked out with Black Crow's um Black Crow's like memorabilia. So these are two like meet and greet passes. I have a hat on, and then I have like I'm part of their fan club, so I have a fan club shirt on in the back. So
I love it.
so I'm like, when Beth asked me to do this, I was very clear. I wanted to do something just fun because
Absolutely.
I'm just like I'm all burnt out with like having to work all the time. And so I said, as long as we could talk about my favorite band in disability renaissance stuff, culture, that I was like, that was like my line.
That's great. And that is exactly why Beth and I talked about that at the beginning. And it's been since the beginning of January already. I can't believe we have over 20 episodes. And that's it. Everybody is stressed. I mean, even us in Canada, I don't know why. Then, we need to take some time. And the title, Time for Life, basically is just that. We want to also discuss what brings us joy, but mostly with having people in the community of Substack, and you are a big part of this community with the work that you're doing with disability. Is it Disability for Democracy?
Disability community for democracy.
Community for Democracy. Okay. And I apologize, by the way, for my voice. I am still trying to recover from a from a cold. So yeah. So welcome again. So we're
Great.
gonna we're gonna there you go. Do you want to just go ahead and talk to us about this this love of
Of
and
the
I
Black Rose. Yeah, I'll
yeah.
I'll start. So I was in middle school. So that's seventh grade for me when they came out. And when they came out, when they came out, the when they came out, actually, I have to backtrack a little bit. So when they came out, the first time I actually heard them was actually when they were Mr. Crow's Garden, and they're from Georgia. They're from the Atlanta area, and so they were more sounded more like REM and bands of that time. They're older Gen Xers. I mean, they were Chris was born in '66 and Rich was born in '68. So
Mm,
they were teenagers, young adults at that point. REM was really big,
mhm.
and
Yeah.
so it was their influence. And I mean, obviously, they had other influences as well, but that's what they were listening to. They had more of a college town kind of sound. And then I was briefly exposed to them. I knew somebody who had a tape of theirs, like a bootleg type. But then the first time I really like heard them, and I'm like, this is not like I didn't like piece it together because Chris looked totally different. He looked like a hippie at this point. So he changed his whole look. And he went from REM kind of sort of vibe to the Faces or the Stones with that swagger. And
I love it.
and so the first song that they did was a cover of Hard to Handle. And I knew Hard to Handle because I grew up listening to all different types of music. And my stepfather, who wasn't my stepfather at the time, he's a big lover of blues. And I mean, he loves rock, of course, but anything jazz and blues related. So I was really exposed to Otis Redding and his music via that. And then I really like jumped on, their whole album, which wasn't, which at the time, if this was 80, late 89, 1990. For those who are old enough to remember, most people were buying cassette tapes, and so buying cassette tapes or CDs. The CDs were very expensive, but I was buying cassette tapes because I was a portable music lover. Albums, not so much. I was transitioning away from albums, and I was listening to tapes and mixtapes at that too.
Oh,
So that's how I
remember
fell in
those
love with them.
mixtapes.
And then their second album was it's my favorite of all time, which is Southern Harmony and Musical Companion. That's the name of the second album.
Mm. I have to tell you that I knew the name of the group, but I went to listen to a few of the songs because I was like, and it rings a bell. But being from Quebec, Canada, I didn't know the group that much, but I liked what I heard. I mean, at first, to be honest with you, I thought, is it a British group? Like, I wasn't sure, because it's kind of like, I find different, than what the typical. Anyways, maybe that it wasn't what I was listening to at the time, but yeah, I love the sound. I mean, so what is it about music, and especially that group, that sort of is the word evokes something in you that makes you happy?
This is what I will say. Music is the great equalizer. So if you have, regardless if you have a disability or not, right? Even if you're deaf or hard of hearing, you can love music.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you can't walk or you use an assistive device, you can love music. It's the great equalizer. And as somebody who loves music and has almost perfect pitch, like I can like listen to something and I know something's off and just like, no, gets underneath my skin. And the reason why I know I have almost perfect pitch is a few years ago I took an actual test for like a study, and they would say pick out the notes that don't sound right, that sound off. And they said we've never had anybody get all of those right.
I apologize. There was feedback. I was trying to get into the chat. So there we go. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Maida. Go ahead.
No, it's fine. No, it's fine. So it was like that perfect pitch kind of sort of thing. And so I like to sing. I've dabbled with like playing piano and drums and guitar. And the reason why the Black Crowes specifically is because of the brothers vibe. So there are only two of them, right? And they're close in age. They're not that far apart in age. My brother and I are closer in age, but they fight like cats and dogs. And so I'm like, I could totally relate to that. Chris is more outspoken than Rich is, and I'm more outspoken. Chris has dyslexia, which I found out later. So I was like, that's why I love his stuff, because his mind and my mind, his mind and my mind work similarly. So that was the reason why for me. And then, they've broken up a couple of times here and there, but I always knew eventually they will get back together because they're brothers. I mean, you can't stay mad at your brother forever.
Yeah. That's it's like Yeah, I mean, and at the same time, I would imagine, because you also are popular, right? I mean, you've got people like you're saying, like, hey guys, I don't know when, please make up because we want to hear more music. And have they ever written about that? Like, have they ever talked about?
Um, no, I mean they talk about it. I mean they talked about it the last time. They talked about it the last time in terms of like the last time they got back together,
Yes.
and that if they were going to bring on people back into the band, that it was going to be all new people, because what they
Can I
did
interrupt real quick? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Please don't put private emails and PayPal requests in the chat, please. Thank you.
Yes. It's Thank you, Beth, and hello to everyone who's joined us. I would actually also add, please smash those hearts for Naida. I mean, actually, I was excited, Naida, to talk to you about, because when you start doing lives on Substack, we're all kind of like, um, you know, we don't necessarily know each other that well. I mean, I've seen what you do, but I mean, and obviously, what you wrote, because I went, to see the all the statesmen, and I've seen on, you working with Nick and on different, profiles on Substack who are actually, getting a lot of traction, there. So, but at the same time, when you present, it's very focused on the things you do, but not who you are. And I mean, I think we talk about it on the side, but you have an objective, and
yeah, and I think when Beth asked me to do this, I was very clear on what my focus is. I mean, I'm not talking about anything related to any work at all today. Today is I mean, I have work to do, but today is like no media about work. This is just Naita just chilling in the cut, gonna like show off her favorite Black Crow stuff. So I'm gonna talk about. I've met them. Yeah, I know. I see.
No work,
I know it's
but
your artwork.
these are coming. They're coming to you. They're coming.
Oh, you really?
Yes. They're ready. They'll be shipped soon.
I was no pressure. I was not pressuring you. Didn't even think about them coming. I thought it was like, oh, they'll come in September or whenever you get a chance, because I know you've been super busy with stuff.
Beth is on the
Saturday.
road. That brings her joy. She keeps on posting all the rocks, and I should say because it's an art, right? She's doing all, and I by the way, we will do an episode, just don't know when, but we will do an episode where Brett is gonna just chat and just kind of like what we had with Jay. Sorry, not Jay, Chris, who was also an artist, and Chris. She was just doing her digital art online as we were just chatting about life, basically. Yeah, so it's great. Yeah. So Beth, get ready for that.
Yeah, I actually, I'm interviewing Beth for Disability Conversations specifically about her art, because I think, because a lot of times politically, we talk a lot about politics on Substack, right? Like depending on where you're at, or how to boost your Substack or whatever. But I have been trying to bring on more people who do art on, and watch me on Friday nights, on the 2 Fridays a month where I do Tell You No Lie. It's mainly culture, not politics. I mean, sometimes I will ask political questions, but Beth, you've watched it. It's mainly culture, because culture is downstream from politics, and you actually, in some cases, you need culture to boost political action.
You're absolutely right. And I have been on Substack for more than a year now, and that's what I realized, like the whole political talk is so both emerges from, and I don't like to say this, but culture wars, and also, but at the same time can influence those politics, and I mean, this is people on social media. I mean, it seems like if you have a kid, I mean, like 20 years ago, it's like, what do you want to do when you're going to be, grown up? It's like, oh, a teacher, a doctor, whatever. And then they're like, nowadays, like, oh, I want to be on YouTube, or I want to be a content creator, because now, that's.
Yeah, I'm like, all I think about this when I graduated from high school in the 90s, in the mid 90s. I was like, what did I want to be when I grow up? I wanted to be, I wanted to do IT, specifically information systems, and be a information systems, information technology attorney, or something related to the environment. Because I, growing up in the 80s, it was the whole, like, there's a hole in the ozone layer, there's a hole in the ozone layer. So I was thinking about engineering, but then I switched to business because it took less credits to graduate. So, and the Black Crowns were with me. They were with me through high school.
I love that.
Through high school and college and my.
Please tell me what the lyrics mainly, did they have a main topic, or did they just?
No, it depends on the album. The albums, it depends on where they're at. So I will say, for example, their second album, which has Thorn in My Pride, Remedy, Sometimes Salvation. Those are the three like ones they did video for. Bad Luck Blue Eyes. They actually did a live video for that when they were in Houston, Texas. They did a free show for that because that stuff went down. They canceled the show and they said, we're going to do a free one the next day. I believe just my memory's like kind of rusty because it was a long time ago. And so for me, I always wanted to meet them. And of course, in the United States, unlike in a lot of other countries, music is very segregated. So even though they have a lot of their music has they're from the South. So a lot of their music has blues and gospel and country. Their audience who listens to them is mostly white. And so anytime I go to a show, because I just went to a show a month ago, and for those who remember, was like, I am off. I am not doing anything. I am going to this show. I am no work. I literally went and came back home. Spent a lot of money going to this show because it was not just tickets. It was getting down to Connecticut and then taking Uber to get back home. But it was worth it. It was definitely worth it because they played all of their their hits. Yeah. And then they played some of their, a couple of their new stuff from their new album. And I think for me, it reminded me when I went to that show that how much humanity wasn't debated in that environment. It was like people saw my humanity. I wasn't the only one on a walker. A lot of the people at the show were like closer to my parents' age. There were people like 62, 63, 64 years old. So that's like the age of like my aunts and my aunt.
Is that their age too? Like, is that the?
No, actually, Chris is the oldest. He's 60. But the original, like, if they're like if you were listening to them in the 90s, their primary like cohort was really older Gen Xers.
Yeah.
Older Gen Xers. I mean, there were some younger Gen Xers, but it was mainly older Gen Xers and Generation Jones, which are the younger baby boomers who listen to them. It was when I was in middle school, so most people were listening to Guns N' Roses or hip hop of any sort. They were not listening to a band that had a throwback element to the 70s. They're like, this is our parents' music. No thanks. But I love that music. I loved the faces. I loved love them.
Can I ask you? So you said you went a month ago. And the show.
I love
like,
that.
Did you? Well, first, were you by yourself at like?
I did go. I go to concerts by myself often now. I this is the hard part because of my music taste and my friends. It's hard to find people who like the type of music I like to go with me to concerts, right? Like that's the hard part.
You're right, and I truly like the fact it's like, I don't know, maybe it's not the same, but it's like kind of like going to the movies by yourself, you know. Except in the movies, you're just at the movies, you're sitting down and you're like watching. Versus at a concert, you must. Sometimes people are self-conscious or not because you can either stand up, move to the music, sing along, sing really
No
loud.
one was self-conscious at that concert. I will tell you right now. I'm going to tell you this story. So I'm at the concert. There was these two older white gentlemen, like, and I mean older, meaning like not like super old. They weren't like senior citizen old. But they were at least 10 years older than I was, at least.
Oh wow! So you're talking about me right now.
No, not you specifically, but they looked older. Like they looked like they were.
I've got to.
You don't look 58 though. I didn't think you were 58. I thought you were closer to like. I thought you were like maybe 50.
Look at this. I have growing another self right here. Go ahead.
I know people who are younger than you who have really terrible like very wrinkly skin. That's not an age thing. Your skin looks good. Trust me. I have people in my family who married, have like older, like who have younger people, younger than me, whose skin is like, what did you do? Because they're in the sun and stuff all the time. And I don't think, Beth, you like would go into the sun and do that. So
I was burnt so much as a kid, sunburnt, and so yeah, I have to. Now I'm get very sick in the sun.
Yeah, I have.
I'm
freckles.
a vampire.
I have freckles on my face, and
So
I have, yeah.
I have to ask you though, with these two gentlemen, were they like next to you? Were you like just
They were literally next to me, and they were drunk. And so I don't drink alcohol, and so they're standing next to me, and I think it was Hard to Handle that came on, and I started like moving with my cane. I stood up and whatever. I did a lot of sitting, standing at that concert because I realized like because I wanted to stand the whole time like I used to be able to do even 2 years ago, and I can't anymore, which sucks.
I apologize, Naida. I didn't know you used a cane. Like,
I use an actual. Well, I use a cane and a walker and a rollator. So when I went to the concert, I used both a cane to get to my seat because I had to leave the rollator. I couldn't bring the rollator with me, and so these guys were drunk. The guy was drunk. He gave me a high five, and I was just like, okay, I'm gonna go with this because I'm just like weird. And I'm just like, please don't push me. This happens at every concert I go to because I just stick out like a sore thumb. And at this particular concert, because I would think it was in Connecticut, it was in Bridgeport. And so I thought they would actually, because I've been to concerts before when there's been a more racial diversity, like the concert in Boston that I went to had more racial diversity than this one. And Bridgeport is actually more racially diverse than, like it's a majority Black and brown city. So is Boston, but Boston's very segregated. Bridgeport isn't as a city, not as much. And most of the people who came to the concert, though, didn't live in Bridgeport. they lived like they lived where I lived. So some of them came from like Massachusetts. Some of them were going to the Massachusetts show. They asked me, "Are you going to go to the Massachusetts show tomorrow?" I'm like, "No, I only do one concert a year now. Like when they're out, like like one concert per tour." And it's not a money thing so much; it's an energy thing because I paid for this concert for 2 days afterwards.
Totally hear you. Not only with the ears and the noise, but at the same time, the fatigue and, just getting there and accessibility sometimes, right? I mean, it's so crowded and people will be like, yeah, I can't, it just takes a lot of time to get there. And to wait in line, it's not like you have a place to sit down, right? I mean, unless I have a friend who actually has a cane that you can sort of lean on. It almost has a seat. So she thought she wasn't going to be able to travel, and when she got that, she was able to, at least, like she said, when I have to wait in line, then I can sort of like, I don't know if it's lean against it, but I haven't seen it, but I know now it exists. Like, so do you have one like that? Or
I use a rollator when I go because it was a couple hours of travel, and I needed to actually walk from the train to the place. And I also had to get up early. So I had to get up early, get ready, take the train. I had to wait for the doors to open. And then it was just like, and it was humid. It was humid that day. It wasn't like hot, but it was humid. So it was in the 70s. And so it was humid but cold at night. Like the temperature started dropping. And so it was cool. And I actually enjoyed the fact that at a certain point the humidity went away. But we were right next to the Metro North / Amtrak. The train tracks were right there, so you could hear the train coming through.
During the show?
During the show, yeah.
Oh, well, then that kind of like, I mean,
it didn't ruin it, actually. It was actually, it is a thing in the Northeast. If you do shows in certain corridors, you're going to intersect with rail. And I was glad that I didn't have to like do anything else but get off the train and walk.
Yeah. I have one last question about the black crowds. Is it crows or crows?
Black crows.
Crows. Okay.
Yes.
Pardon my French.
Look at her hat. So. Crows.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm checking on my other screen. Pretty cool. Do you have a favorite song? Or two of them, or three?
Oh, I can list my favorite songs. I'll list my favorite songs from the first 3 albums. First, like my top 2 or 3, depending on the album, from the first 3. So my favorite song from Shake Your Money Maker, which is their first album, is, and I'm excluding covers from this, even though Hard to Handle is like my favorite song, but from their non-cover stuff is Thick and Thin, She Talks to Angels, and Could Have Been So Blind. Those are my 3 favorite, and that's tied with Jealous Again. Could Have Been So Blind is tied with Jealous Again. So it's really 4 on that album. For Southern Harmony and Musical Companion, my favorite songs are oh boy, I pretty much love that whole album, but I'm gonna pick my top 3. Thorn in My Pride is number 1. Like I could listen to that song over and over and over again. And
what is it called?
Thorn in My Pride.
Thorn in My Pride. Okay.
That's
making notes. I don't know why, but I want to listen to them. So
that's number 1. Number 2 is is actually, as much as I love Remedy, it's like actually in the top 5. But my second favorite song is Bad Luck Blue Eyes, and my third favorite song by them is Sometimes Salvation. So
Okay.
that's the third album, and then Amorica is is oh I love that album too, and I'll just give you like my favorite from them is Wiser Time. Is like, I love that song, and I also love Conspiracy, and so
Is there one that you find that the meaning of the song really talks to you among those
so
favorites?
I will tell you, as I will tell people, I have listened to different versions to Thorn in My Pride live. Their what's it called? Demo versions, because they have different demo versions of that. And every time I listen to that song, depending on where I'm at in my life, it can really make me happy or it could make me cry.
Oh.
Words mean something different at different periods of time. And that song came out when I was, I always get the years confused with this because of my disability. So I was either in middle school. I was in middle school when it came out, when they started playing it, but the album came out when I was in high school. So the album itself came out when I was in high school, but the first time I heard it, I was in middle school. They started playing it.
Okay, I was trying to find the year, but I'm on.
1992 is when it came out, like the studio version of it. But the first time I
Oh
heard,
my gosh.
what?
I'm sorry. This just made me think we should do a trivia group team fundraiser. Just write that down.
Okay, wait. Trivia. I'm making notes.
Go ahead. Keep chatting.
Trivia team fundraiser. We're talking about karaoke the other day too.
Yes. Yes.
So trivia. Well, that's all culture, so that's fine. I mean, trivia.
Wouldn't that be fun? A music
trivia. How about bingo?
trivia fundraiser.
How about music bingo from the 90s?
We're just,
because I have a bingo game that I pay for, an annual subscription that I literally use it for fundraisers. What kind of fundraiser would we use it for though? I can't hear you.
I muted myself. Sorry. The
Okay.
disability community.
You talk about. I hear a part of it. Disability Community for Democracy and fundraiser for Disability Community for Democracy.
Yes.
Oh, well. How about we combine it with my big birthday that's coming up in October? So you mute it.
Oh, boy, this is great.
is this okay?
Yes, I can hear you now.
I even, you know what? I didn't even touch my computer. Look at that. Sorry.
Can you hear me now?
Sorry.
I know.
Okay.
Mine muted too, and I was like, "What?"
Okay, we're gonna make notes, and we're gonna for sure come back to it later when we talk about it with Beth and obviously with you for sure. That it's a good idea, but it's interesting that you say you pay for bingo because I pay for Cara Fun, which is a karaoke app. You can use it on the web. And also, but I'm telling you, they have almost every single song. Like they're really good, and you can actually, I don't know, you can do like a jam, and but it's expensive. But I think, especially with what I'm doing here on Substack, I like to to, well, when I can sing, because right now I can't. I like to record songs for my paid subscribers. It's kind of like, it's also like a challenge. But anyways, maybe I think you might have seen it. So, but yeah,
So,
I mean, it's, you invest in what you like. So bingo all the way.
and it's music bingo, of course, right? So it's tied to that. It's not just regular bingo. So, so the reason why, and I've written articles about this, about doing a disability renaissance, and from a political point of view, but this is from a cultural point of view. There are so many people
Mhm.
with disabilities that we don't talk
Yes.
about,
Mm.
who might not necessarily consider themselves part of the disability community, but if we did something related to disability, and like highlight a lot of people in like entertainment, for example, they have learning disabilities, so they're dyslexic, or they have dysgraphia, or they have the math form of dyslexia. I can forget the name of it right now. um, but
Mhm.
but these are invisible disabilities, and Chris Robinson is dyslexic, and he used to like was a he's loves to read, um which is interesting because I'm I like books, but I'm not a big fan. I don't like reading out loud at all. I struggle with reading. I prefer audiobooks. Like I'll listen to audiobooks all day every day. um and I'll read a book if I really want like a actual book. So, for example, I read a book on ugly laws, for example. But other than that, I'm amazed that he loves to read, but he's a very good writer. Like he writes all the
Mhm.
lyrics for the band songs, and his brother writes the music. And he's
Wow.
actually a musician in his own right. He plays guitar as well. And his brother plays bass too, and he did play bass and guitar
Mhm.
on some of their studio albums, both lead and rhythm guitar. He usually plays rhythm when he plays live. That's Rich. And Chris plays guitar too. He has played guitar in some songs, some of the newer stuff, when he had his own band called Chris Robinson Brotherhood when they broke up. So he did more guitar playing then, and he was really into his Grateful Dead uh, hippie phase at that point, and he still plays stuff from that time period. Um, but I just I just wanted to just talk about it because I think it's important. Like we talk a lot about in the disability space about how oppressed we are, that in certain ways we're, and I say this as somebody who's a person of color, how people with disabilities in certain ways are more oppressed than people who don't. Even if you are a black or brown person of color, you don't have a disability, you're not as oppressed. I'm sorry, you have more privilege
Mhm.
in that aspect.
We
And yes,
definitely have challenges. I mean, I can only think of, well, I mean, we're talking about, I mean, what you mentioned is invisible disability, which is
right.
a
And
huge challenge. But I'm just thinking of,
Mhm.
for example, I mean, when I was younger, and I still love them, but I love, love, love Def Leppard. And I mean, isn't it the guy who plays the is
I
the
love Def
battery
Leppard.
like the
drum,
the drummer. I mean, he's missing an arm.
yes,
So, I
due to an
mean,
accident.
exactly. So can you imagine? I mean, all the extra work and focus you have to put in just to like get to that level of, because I find that he's just amazing too, and so it doesn't mean that because you have either invisible or visible disability, you're not able to do it. I mean, it's just it takes a lot of, I find, persistence. Anyways, it's my opinion. If you look at the Paralympics, also, I mean.
I'm an athlete. That's the other thing too. I was an athlete. So when I was in high school, and I don't talk about this a
Wow.
lot, I ran track, and music was something that I used to work out to when I was training for the Crashby rowing. And that used to be the world championship for many years for indoor rowing. I use music to train for the 2,000-meter row. I have like right next to me is my rowing machine that I can't use right now because I'm still doing physical therapy for my shoulder. And anytime I used to row, especially rowing, I would put on the Black Crows, or mainly the Black Crows, but not always the Black Crows. Sometimes it would be, depending on the workout, it would be different types of music, like house music or club music or techno or disco. It really would depend on what kind of workout I was doing.
And it definitely gets you going for sure.
And the music does help with workouts.
Naida, I had a question because I'm looking at the time, and I mean, you wanted to talk about Renaissance, and I'll say Renaissance, but Renaissance. So please explain to us what you mean by that. I mean, I know it's related to.
Well, I want to talk, and I know we have like 15 minutes, 16 minutes left. So
we'll take the time. Go ahead.
Disability Renaissance is the equivalent of the Harlem Renaissance. And it's basically was the foundation. The Harlem Renaissance was the foundation of the civil rights movement in the United States of the 1950s and 60s. So you had all of these famous people like Langston Hughes and stuff like that who did this. And so we're at a point in our society where there's this huge backlash against disability, right? They think people with disabilities take up space.
There's such a I mean, it's all going backwards in terms of.
They want to go backwards with everything. But the reality is that unlike with other groups, they have a memo that, and I'm not going to get too far into it, but it's really tied to this.
Yeah,
they think people with disabilities should not be in the community. That's the bottom line. And we need to have a disability renaissance where they can see our artwork, like see Bev's artwork, see my friend Keith Jones, who won an Emmy for his music.
I love that.
Your friend, so, what's his name?
Keith Jones. He's a Black hip hop artist, business owner, and disability justice and rights advocate. He actually lives across the river from me. I live in Metro Boston, but I don't live in Boston proper, as we call it here. I live across the river. And so he's an Emmy winner.
Wow.
Galen Leah, I met her because we have some mutuals in common. Alex Green is another person who's on. He's a friend of mine. I actually finally met him in real life last week, and so he teaches at Harvard, and he does a lot of writing on disability history, and so we have like all of these talented people in the disability community.
Absolutely.
And we need to start investing in our own community first, instead of saying, well, we don't have the money because we're on disability. We don't have this because of limited resources. And I maybe it's because I am a person of color in this country who traces part of their ancestry to enslavement in the United States. Black folks who were enslaved in this country, some of my ancestors had nothing. And they didn't complain about, well, I don't have money or I don't have this. If you want your rights, right, you got to invest. You got to invest time. And the way you do that is you have to have a multi-pronged approach. And I feel like through like the political stuff, I'm not saying that's not important. But for me, the creative opportunities are even more important. That's why I've been doing a lot of before the shift to Olmsted, I was actually working on this like disability renaissance kind of sort of like plan of mine for 2027, which we're still going to do. We're going to do an event similar. That's the plan. Do an event similar, but it would be different though, because we're in a new time. So we don't have to all meet in person. but we have regional committees. Disability Community for Democracy has regional committees. So Beth is the regional coordinator for the West. But the goal is above my head. The goal is for me, and I got to talk to the team about this. This is just like my dream is for Disability Community for Democracy to be as well known in every space like the NAACP is and beyond, like within 10 years. That's my goal. So they have awards, and stuff like that. That's what I want to focus on. The political stuff is important, but I want to focus on the cultural stuff too. And because we need to be at the table.
I'm just, I don't know. I'm sort of getting goosebumps just by talking to you, because I find that, you're projecting yourself in the future, and the fact that you're talking about having a dream, and the word for me, renaissance, we associated with coming out of the dark ages, and it feels right now that what's happening is, we're going backwards in the dark ages, and nobody wants that unless the people who benefit from it. And I mean, what you're doing, for me, I see the renaissance as, there's something positive about it. And although I am, from Canada, I wasn't as close as New York City's culture. The Harlem Renaissance didn't speak to me as much, but the word Renaissance does. So when you talk about disability Renaissance, it evokes so many things that seem positive.
French, and it sounds good.
Yeah, plus that too.
Yeah, it sounds better when you say it.
Because we go Renaissance, white person is like Renaissance, white girl from.
But just the fact that it's going to create something new,
Seattle,
it's not
but then you go
stagnating, and you're right, it gives also hope, with the struggles and the challenges that you go through when you have disability.
This is the thing. We need some hope. I see that. I know that's coming to me.
Ha ha ha.
And so that's the reason why I think it's important.
I'm sending you
from
hope.
My standpoint. Why we need to incorporate more disability, like actual culture and music and stuff like that, and linking, really like saying like you can't have a civil society without culture, right? Like an educated society is not just, can I add and subtract and read? Can I create? Can I paint? Can I
produce, right? Can I contribute? Because you're like drilling or whatever. It's so like, it's not just material, what you can do. I'm
talking about creatively. I'm not even talking about like yes, I have a business degree, and I believe in a lot of things that other people might disagree with me on around capitalism. But I will say this is not disability. This disability renaissance is not about capitalism. It's about us investing in us, so we can actually see where people can actually see us for who we are, instead of
sharing our gifts.
Yes.
Sharing our gifts with the world.
Right.
And saying we are intelligent, we are creative, we do contribute to society.
Maybe not in the way that you might think, but it is going to be different. And so I do think that's what people need is hope. I'm not, again, I will always say that that disability is hard, right? And we need to have joy, and we need to have excellence. But you can't have joy and excellence without a creative outlet. Policy and politics are not, and working a job and creating a business where you're producing something is not the only way you can do that. You can do that through music and all of that. And I do think when people read words or they listen to music or they listen to um, or they paint or they draw, for example,
Come here.
the Black Crows were on and I'm using the Black Crows example for a reason. Black Crows were on the forefront of legalizing pot. And this was in the 90s when the pot was not, people were anti legalization. Where are we now as a country?
I should say hello.
They were like on the forefront of that. They were pot smokers when it was not popular to be a pot smoker and be bold about it. In their music and their art, I mean, they had outfits, and even now with stuff that has pot leaves on it. And so they were one of the bands who were like, why is pot illegal?
Yeah.
It's not harming anybody. And so now pot's legal. I mean, they're not the only ones, but they were one of the bands who were like blatantly for it. Also hip hop artists as well. But both were seen as bad. They were white. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was going to interrupt. I was just going to say, you know, I'm out here in Seattle. I'm not from Seattle. I'm from Michigan, but I'm out here in Seattle. You all think it's the wildfire smoke. It's not.
Naida, sorry to interrupt you, but did you just see that Jason said, I just purchased disabilityrenaissance.com and I can transfer it to you, Naida?
What did he do?
Mm-hmm.
Is that buying the web domain's name? Is that it?
Did he just buy the domain name?
He got the .com.
It is now.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, Jason! How much do I owe you?
You have to talk in DMs about that. We're not going to talk money
yeah,
here.
I know, but
that is amazing. Jason, he said yes.
Yes, Jason, just DM me and I'll, let me know how much it is and I'll send you the money for it. I appreciate it.
It's like Jason just contributed to like setting the second stone, it's like you're building this foundation. And I'm talking like a ground foundation, for your dream. And I think that you share it so well. I mean, there you go.
It's kindness. It's about kindness.
Well, I appreciate it. I mean, I'm not this big what's the word? Like, I'm not like, I have no clue what this is going to look like. So I was like, well, I'll get it. And if it's not available, I'll figure out like some way to, like, I wasn't sure if it's going to be up on our updated website or a separate webpage, but I guess it's going to be a separate webpage. Thanks.
It has to be under construction, but I'm sure.
I have no clue what this is going to look like, and I'm going to say this: I am not a professional artist. Like, I am not a professional singer or musician.
We know a lot of artists. You know a lot of artists.
I do know
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter though.
I grew up around it though. Like, my father, who's passed away, he played multiple instruments. I grew up with grandparents who had, my mom's foster mother / parents / adopted parents had a music room. Okay. And my father had to take piano lessons when he was a little kid. So I grew up around music and opera and ballet and classical music. Like, I don't talk about this stuff because, and to be honest, it's not that I'm ashamed of it. It just, like, for some people, there's a barrier. It creates a barrier, right? It creates an unnecessary class.
Do you find that's a culture barrier?
For some people, it is. Because if they didn't grow up around having class proximity access, even if we didn't have, I didn't, I grew up upper working class, lower lower middle class, and my grandparents on both sides were professionals. My mom had me when she was a teenager, that's why. But I was exposed to all of these things. So some of that stuff creates a barrier for people. So you got to meet people where they're at. And so music and art is always the door.
Absolutely.
How do you think people get involved? Who remembers Rock the Boat? If Rock the Vote from MTV. If people could put it in the chat.
I remember MTV. We had a French version called Music.
We had Rock the Vote in the 90s. You know, this was older Gen Xers who were getting ready to vote in the early 90s. It was when Bill Clinton was running for president for the first time. And so if you remember that, how do you think first-time voters voted? I remember when I voted for the first time, and I voted after I graduated high school. I remember the Rock the Vote campaign for midterms too. It was a big thing in the 90s and into the 2000s, even when Obama ran the first time. And so for me, the creativity part is what's missing. And if I can talk more about, and this is where I have to figure out the balance. And now that Beth is part of Disability Community for Democracy, I might like talking to her about it. How do I have to find a balance between all the political stuff that we do and bridge it with culture? Because I don't want it to always seem like everything's always on fire all the time. Why can't we have disability joy and disability excellence in art? That's
absolutely. And I think
there should be
committing to that balance is going to bring you, well, I'm saying, you know, your step. I find it's you're grounding something. I can see it with you guys. Like I can see that the disability renaissance. It's like they go hands in hands together. You know, you're going to be people who want to be politically involved, but also who have lots of talent. And you know, what about showcasing them? And you know, yeah, I mean.
That's where like I'm thinking about it. And for me, like, I mean, I'm politically active, you know, in my community. I serve on my city's disability commission. And there are days where the only thing that gets me through the work I have to do is I put on the Black Crows. And and it's not all day, but it might be for like 2 or 3 hours, sometimes 4 hours straight, the same songs over and over and over again. That's the stemming part of neurodivergence. Yes, that's like how I stem and stuff like that. And that's how on some days how I get motivated to do the work. And it would be nice to be able to put something together that's creative and reaches people and speaks to people without it being punching people in the face all the time. It's like
absolutely.
It's like it seems like every single time there's always something. And the Black Crows were successful, right? Pot's legal in most states now. I mean, it's not legal federally, but they're you know, talking about changing, you know, the classification of pot. And so that says a lot.
It does. It means you can actually influence the course of time.
Right. And also I will say this. I'm going to say this. Anybody who thinks what Beth is doing with her rock art is not going to influence people politically. I have 2 bridges that connect Cambridge to Boston to sell you. That will move people in ways that me being on live streams talking about politics and policy won't. Because people are going to be like, well, what is Say No to Crip Crow? They're going to see the art. They're going to see that. And they're going to be like, what is that?
Say no.
What's that? What does that mean? Right?
Absolutely. I mean, especially, you know, if we talk about people that are outside of the States, like for me, I was like, what's that? You know, and then I read the article. I've listened to you and Nick Parrow, who are talking about, what it means, the memo from the DOJ. And, but if, and that is so important because we have, I'm not saying, I think that access to services and also all of that, I find that every country has their challenges. And I mean, I'm not going to get into it, but as you know, I've said many times, I feel very privileged to live in Canada. But I have seen, people who are, I mean, my cousin is quadriplegic, like, he can't use his four members. And he's actually, at one point, what got him going, it was he created a nonprofit organization to to make sure that there would be more access, to mobility in the city of Quebec. So
Right.
it's what keeps you going, having hope, having projects, getting involved. And that is, yeah. But Renaissance, it just grabs me so much. The name is just
It does. And you know what else I also think about is the Italian Renaissance as well. That's the other thing I think about. And I think about that more in terms of like the actual artwork of like Michelangelo and all the artists back at that period of time, which literally took people out of the Dark Ages. The Harlem Renaissance was more of a political movement with a creative bent to like push back against Jim Crow in the United States, and in the after World War One into it ended in the early part of the Great Depression. And so the people, this is the thing about when you're creating movements, right?
Mhm.
And this is why my creativity juices goes up when it comes to history. What was the mistake that they made? They relied on white. I mean, there were black wealthy people who invested, but it was mainly white people who invested in them. And so we got to invest in ourselves, even if it means we start smaller as a community, because we can keep this going as a project for like, I'm not going to say forever, like forever, like that it would never end, but we need something right now where people can find us. I mean, I know Ramp has like, they have all of the artists with disabilities for Grammy winners, and we're part of the Grammy society. I forget what it's called, but we don't have that for other artists. We don't have that for writers. We don't have that for artists, right? We don't have that for other types of art, and we need that. We need that hub where we can find anybody with a disability who's an artist and who is, you don't have to be well known. You just have to be good, right? Like, that's the point. You just have to be good. People will find you. I've said, I will say this to Beth. If Beth finds some disabled patrons, if she gets, I'm going to just say this to you, Beth, because I wanted to say this to you the other day. But if you found 100 people to give you $5 once, you would be able to buy a whole bunch of paint, all your supplies to, protect the rocks. What is it called that you use?
Mm-hmm. Is it acrylic pens?
No,
acrylic
epoxy something.
Epoxy. Yeah, it's resin epoxy.
Yeah, and you would be able to put them on Etsy and sell them.
Yeah. Yeah. So the whole Patreon, is it Patreon patrons?
It's Patreon, but you can do Patreon as well. It doesn't really matter. But what I'm saying is that you just need good people who are talented. They don't have to be they don't have to be like a Chris Robinson who's already out there. We just need people who are talented, who can represent the disability community, that honors humanity is not for debate or not up for debate, and so they can actually see us, and we're not this inspirational porn, right? We don't think of Chris Robinson, even though he has a disability, as a dyslexic, or the drummer from Def Leppard as inspirational porn, right? We think of him as a musician. We think of those two men as musicians. We need to start treating other members of the disability community like that. And we need to start telling their stories. And we honestly, this is my personal opinion, I'm going to end with this.
Yeah.
We need people like Chris Robinson to tell their story about how hard school was, if school was difficult for them. I mean, he was born in 1966. This access to special education was non-existent pretty much until Section 504 became law of the land in 1973 and the IDA. So what did he do when he was in school, when he started school in 1971 at the age of 5? Or 1972 at the age of 6? What did he do? I think he probably started school in 70, because his birthday's in December, so most likely he started school in 1972. What did he do? Struggled. Right? Like, and I'm not trying to be funny. Like I'm thinking long term. Like, we need his stories to say, like, I struggled in school. School was hard. He's talked about, quote unquote, being a dumb kid. And so we need to change the language around that and saying, you weren't a dumb kid. You just there wasn't the services that there are now for kids like you, and you became successful anyway.
I've just had a crazy idea. I think.
Oh boy.
You know how you are one, they say you are like, I don't know how many people, but 1, 2, 3, 5 people away from, the person you actually either want to talk to or meet. It's just a matter of finding the right connections. This is a call for anyone who knows someone who could get us to talk to this person. You should, I'm not saying you should, but in the end, if we do get in contact with it, I'm saying we, like whoever, this could be an interesting, this could be a start to your dream. Like, to have this person talk about, like you said, what you just said, his history, the struggles, and has he done it before? Like, do you think
he's mentioned his dyslexia before? That's how come I know he's dyslexic. And I know I've actually met the band like twice.
Naida, Jason is asking which person. He's got a lot of contacts, I think, in the music world.
Chris Robinson of the Black Crowes.
Chris Robinson, or someone who knows him.
Chris Robinson, we'd like to hear from you, please.
Yeah, I would love to have him on along with his brother Rich, because they're a team. But if Rich doesn't want to do it, if Chris is the main one, because he's the one I know who has a disability. I don't know if Rich does as well, but a learning disability specifically. But I would love to talk to him about. He has children too, and I am going to say this. This is why I love him so much. So in Florida, he called out Trump without saying Trump's name, and half the audience who were fans of his got so fed up and left. Said, "We're not afraid." He's like, "I'm not afraid." Because they were chanting USA, USA. He had like a flag on, and it was like, and he called the current occupant and his co-conspirators out. And people were mad in his audience. And I'm like, did you not think if you were going to open this can of worms up with this dude, that you don't know his politics? Like, if he was for pot smoking and all sorts of like drugs back in the day when it wasn't popular to do so, where you took drugs, you went to jail, and now it's like treatment, right? First before jail.
Yeah.
What do you think was going to happen when you're chanting USA and we're having problems in this country, right? Like that's why I love him, because I love him because he's like, I don't care. I'm not here for you to be liked. And the ironic part is, all these people who walked out of his show, it's not like they're going to get their money back from the concert. So he got their money.
Absolutely.
from these people who were booing him, who were probably MAGA supporters. And he's like, and I mean, he tends to separate politics. He doesn't talk about politics. But in this case, everyone's talking about it every so often now, partially because people have just had it. And he's like, I'm not gonna like sit here and do USA when we're in trouble. And that was his way of pushing back. And some people were like mad, but I was like, go Chris, go. Or as my parents, and as my parents, my parents would say, my mother and my stepfather would say, right on.
Well, what you just said is I'm just gonna say bravo, Naida, because people can disagree but still be in the same room and enjoy culture. I mean, and specifically, if it showcased that everybody is different, but they have talent, and even if everyone can contribute. So I'm looking at the time. We're already 10
Yeah,
minutes
I'm over. I'm over.
Lots of people in
That's
the chat
okay.
they like your hat and that they like you.
I love it.
Hi, Eric. Dr. Eric is here. Love the hat. It was. I mean, sorry, I wasn't. I tried to pay attention to the chat, and as usual,
I was trying. I usually am better at paying attention to the chat, but when it comes to the Black Rose, I can't help it. When it comes to
this
okay.
was your time. Hey, Beth, that was your time. We wanted you to talk about things that bring you joy, and I think.
I will say this. When I have more of a plan, which I will, because after Disability Pride Month ends, the Say No to Crip Crow campaign is shifting to more of like lobbying and stuff and less media. I will have time to focus on what do I want this to look like for 2027 and who I want to get involved, because I will say this about the disability renaissance piece and how it ties to democracy. You can't, and I said this earlier, you can't have a liberal democracy, and I didn't say it in these exact words, but you can't have a liberal democracy without art and culture. You just can't.
Amen.
You can't. And so that's what I want to do. And I definitely want to come back. I want to talk about it maybe around our birthdays, Beth, because our birthdays, we're both October babies, maybe.
I think we should do it.
We'll have a plan. I'm roping you in, kind of sort of, you're being voluntold, but not really voluntold.
I'm going to continue cheering you guys. And just the fact that you now have a web name domain, I mean, Disability Renaissance is I mean, that's it. It's born.
It's born.
You dreamt it, and it's gonna happen.
Well, I appreciate everyone, and I am actually spent. I need to lay down.
No, we have to make it happen. That's a thing.
With my dream
put it out there, and people want it. Yep. And now it's going to happen. They do. So.
And I'm reading it in the chat. It's like, whoa, they really want it.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a chronic illness, which is, I don't know if I would call it a form of. Yeah. And I want to do, like, I want to see like the Renaissance. I want people to come together and to just, across borders. This is, for me, that's my dream. Like, just.
Well, that's the thing. It is going to be across borders. This is not going to just be a U.S. thing, because I will say this: there's problems with how people with disabilities in Canada, depending on the province, is treated, where they're offered assisted suicide basically as the option, because again, universal healthcare is run by the government. It's not always the best thing. Or the UK, where they have people on an autism registry because they run their healthcare system. So healthcare is a human right, and people should have access to healthcare. But when you have a government who is saying who can get healthcare and who can't,
right?
This is again the way that you show that that's wrong is not through always going to the legislators or your political officials. It's through art,
Mhm.
through culture. So that's all I have to say. That's why I'm going to just put a button on it for now, and then I'll talk. I will have some sort of plan in October, right
We
around.
will definitely do this again, and because for me,
Yes.
it's going to be a continuation for sure. Like, I mean, it is taking time for life. I mean, it's all part of bringing you joy and trying to actualize. People, yeah,
I
actualize
actually
yourself.
I'm over here happy. I'm happy.
I actually like disability. I will say this: I started disability community from democracy from nothing. Right? It was just an idea. So if I could do that from nothing without a foundation, this would be so much easier because now I have a foundation. so, so I will say that.
It's a continuation. I really see it. Is there
I love
anything
it.
you'd like to add, Beth? Because I mean,
Yeah, please, Beth, say something.
Well, well, I was kind of
just
quiet because
typical.
my darn internet going out, but and the fact that so many are jumping in to say, yes, I want to make this happen for you. That's happening with you. That's happening with me. It's for all the bad in the world, there
Willpower.
is still so much fucking good here.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone. And guess what? I'm tired, so I gotta lay down because I have an interview. I have to interview someone for the last episode of the veteran series that's coming out next week on Thursday. So I gotta lay down for that.
Go ahead. Go
I'm
pace.
typed out.
Pace yourself. We understand. So thanks
right.
everyone
All
for
right.
joining us. We will be back.
Thank you, Naida.
Yeah, thank you. We're gonna be back next week. And thanks everyone. Bye, Beth. Bye, Naida.
Right. Yes, I'm getting that.
Where's the button? End stream.
There, bye.
Help me.
End stream. I'm in.